Mark Briscoe, I will gloss over. Unfortunately, I feel so bad for Mark Briscoe. A singles match would take a Uh, we've said how big a babyface Mark could have been for this company a couple of years ago if they'd capitalized on events and just pushed him and let him be. Now I feel bad for him every time I see him. But again, I feel bad for our boy Take here, but not as bad as I feel for Mark Briscoe. Remember, we said yes when we first saw Take and he was new and he was fresh, and I can see this guy with a fucking sleek looking fucking gimmick instead of a goof like some of the rest of these guys. And with his athletic ability, boom, chicky boom, we get him in here, and he's cheaper than all the rest of these broken down Japanese legends they brought in, and he's younger. And then we see him, we don't see him, that he's in the family, but he's got no personality. He can't do promos, and Don's way past stale, and there's been no coherent push. So just taking this match in a vacuum, if you watch this, anybody in the history of the wrestling business would say Mark Briscoe's the guy of these two you need to be pushing. He can work better than Take. He's a better worker. He's been doing it for 20 years. And I'm not talking about goddamn tiger drivers or whatever. Mark can probably do that too. But in a professional sense, he's a much better worker. He's obviously a way better promo. He's got a better gimmick. Read that personality, because it's not really a gimmick. It's him. He's more marketable as a pro wrestler in every way than Takeshita is at this point in time, especially when we've seen nothing from what they've done with Takeshita, and Mark goes out and gets over with the crowd every time. And his opponent was just kind of there because I think he realizes, it is what it is. And then he wins with a suplex, and Mark loses again. Can you sit there and watch this match and say the right guy won, they're pushing the right fellow?
I don't think Takeshita should be losing, and I think Takeshita is really good and worthy of a push.
I'm saying,
and I don't think Mark Briscoe should be beating him right now because he's been used like shit forever. It would be the wrong thing to do.
No, I'm saying in a vacuum. If you were suddenly, if you were the booker for the last wrestling federation, and you were shown this match on tape from a foreign country, like say Bolivia, and you'd never heard of these two before, and you didn't know who they were, what their history was, and you watched it, which one would you want to hire to draw money for your wrestling promotion?
I don't know if anyone's drawing money, but I would probably see Mark Briscoe as the person who showed more character.
That's what I'm talking about. He still gets over with the live crowd, and they've done nothing, and now it may be too late.
Should they turn him heel?
No. Because then,
because look at what he is as a baby face. That's why the only reason I'm saying
he's a good heel. Well, it's over now anyway, because they've seen what they've done with him as a baby face for 2 years. If he'd have been a top baby face, yeah, you might want to say, well, let's turn him heel for a year and a half and freshen him up so we can switch him back. He'll be new again. But no, when you've completely made a guy meaningless and then just switch him, and that's just even worse. Unless it is accompanied by a mega push because it's early in a guy's career and now he's finally grown up, and that doesn't fit Mark, who's been doing this for 20 years. And that's the thing, is poor talent picking, poor talent choices. It's what's got Tony in a lot of his issues, because his eye is drawn to the shiny little outlaw indie bauble instead of having a professional, an insider of the industry's knowledge of who is actually good and who's making the other people look good, and who could potentially draw you some money with any kind of mainstream regular fucking audience. And I know people are, that mainstream people don't watch it. I'm talking about the mainstream wrestling audience, the one that the WWE has. When you get, a fourth or a third of theirs, let me know.